The second I heard something moving behind me, I realized I wasn't alone in those woods. This happened the summer after my first year of college. Most of my friends had scattered across different states for school, so when everyone came home for break, we planned a huge get-together. One of my friends, Ryan, had the perfect place for it. His parents owned a massive house far outside town with a pool, a huge property, and no nearby neighbors. They happened to be away that weekend, so naturally everyone decided that was where we'd celebrate being home. Earlier that day, a few of us met up for food and spent hours catching up. Most of the conversation wasn't about classes. It was about parties, bad decisions, and everything we'd gotten away with during our first year away from home. Someone suggested turning the party into a costume party at the last minute. It made no sense considering it was almost June, but everybody liked the idea. Within a few hours, people were scrambling together whatever costumes they could find. I dug an old hockey mask out of storage and threw together something simple. By around 10 that night, people started arriving. Then more arrived. Then even more. At some point, none of us knew who had actually been invited anymore. The costumes only made it harder to tell who was who. Sometime after midnight, I was standing outside near the back patio talking with a group of people when I noticed someone inside the house. A girl wearing a gold masquerade mask. She wasn't talking to anybody. She was standing by herself holding a cup and looking directly through the glass doors toward where I was standing. I lifted my hand. She waved back. Nobody around me seemed to know who she was. Curious, I went inside. The moment I started heading toward her, she turned and disappeared deeper into the house. By the time I got through the crowd, she was gone. I checked a few rooms, looked around the kitchen, even walked through the hallway. Nothing. I figured maybe she was avoiding me, or maybe I'd imagined the whole interaction. Either way, I let it go. For a while. The weird thing was, I kept catching myself looking for that mask. Hours later, I finally spotted it again. I had jumped into the pool with a few friends and was treading water when I saw the gold mask moving across the yard. The girl was walking alone toward the trees at the edge of the property. The backyard stretched so far that the music sounded distant from that area. I yelled a few times. She didn't stop. Then right before reaching the woods, she turned around. Even from that distance, I could see the mask catching light. She raised a hand and waved, then motioned for me to come over. I didn't think much about it. I climbed out of the pool and ran across the yard. By the time I reached the tree line, she had already disappeared among the trees. I stood there trying to see into the darkness. Nothing. I called out. No answer. A minute passed, then another. The longer I stood there, the more ridiculous I felt. I was soaked, barefoot, and freezing. I finally turned around to head back. That's when I heard her voice, soft, close enough to hear clearly. "Don't leave yet." I stopped. The voice came from somewhere ahead. I couldn't see her. I said something like, "Where are you?" A branch cracked off to one side. Then her voice came from another direction. She sounded amused, like she was enjoying the game. I kept moving forward. A few steps later, I noticed something on the ground. The gold mask. I picked it up. At the time, I thought maybe she'd dropped it accidentally. Now, I don't think that was the reason. I walked deeper into the trees. Eventually, I saw her. She was standing still several yards away. Dark hair covered most of her face. I could barely make out her clothes in the darkness. I held up the mask and told her I found it. She laughed quietly, then asked me to bring it over. As I approached, something felt off. She didn't move, didn't reach for the mask, didn't really react at all. I introduced myself. Before I could say much else, she replied, "I already know who you are." The voice hit me immediately. I recognized it. I just couldn't place it. Not yet. I took another step. Then she raised her head. Everything clicked. She wasn't some random girl from the party. She was someone connected to a girl I'd briefly dated during my first year of college. The realization barely had time to register. Another branch snapped somewhere to my left, much closer. I turned. A figure came rushing out of the darkness. My ex. She had a metal baseball bat in both hands. She swung straight at my head. I dropped instinctively. The bat cut through the air where I had been standing. I heard her yell. Then another swing came down. I scrambled backward and got to my feet. I didn't try talking. I didn't try understanding what was happening. I ran as hard as I could. I sprinted all the way back toward the house, screaming for help. The party died instantly. People started leaving almost immediately. My friend wanted everyone gone before police got involved, so the house emptied out fast. I spent the rest of the night inside. Every door got locked. Every window got checked. I stayed awake, watching the tree line. The distance made it impossible to tell whether anyone was standing out there. Every shadow looked like a person. When sunrise finally came, I left. The strangest part was understanding how much planning must have gone into it. My college was hours away. The relationship had lasted only a few weeks. I had ended it because her behavior became increasingly controlling. She constantly wanted to know where I was, who I was talking to, and why I wasn't answering immediately. At the time, it felt uncomfortable. That night made me realize I had underestimated it. For months afterward, I couldn't relax anywhere. Crowds bothered me. Parties stopped being fun. I quit drinking entirely not long after. Eventually, I learned that she never returned to that college. I never saw her again. The detail that still bothers me is the mask. At first, I thought it was just part of a costume. Now, I think it served a different purpose. The first time I saw her, she was standing alone, watching me through the glass while everyone else was distracted. Which means, long before I followed her into those woods, somebody had already picked me out of the crowd.